Hey everybody, it's Matt from KoreHealth. On this week's KoreKast, we've got our friend and partner, Dr. Matteo Capodaglio, back in the studio with us. He's talking to us in advance of World Vegan Day. Performance nutritionist talking with us about veganism, what to expect on the vegan diet, how to supplement effectively if it's something you're doing, meat substitutes, and a whole lot more. I think you guys are going to like it, so go give it a listen right now.
Dr. Capo, thank you for joining us. We want to get your thoughts on World Vegan Day. World Vegan Day is on Sunday, and who better than to talk about the pluses and perhaps minuses of being a vegan than the world's foremost performance nutritionist, Dr. Matteo Capodaglio.
Grazie mille. Well, I didn't even know it was World Vegan Day. And just so we start, the part of vegan, like of nutrition that I can talk about is the scientific one. It's still scientific, the other side, but the more like sustainability, environmental part, that is not something I ever studied. So, there's so much to know about performance nutrition that I decided just to focus on that. So whatever we're going to talk about today, it is going to be related to the biochemical side of things. Okay.
I think that's the more interesting stuff anyhow. So why don't you, from a high level, tell us in a vegan diet, right? A typical vegan diet, and we'll just use typical as a bellwether here. What are you getting more of and what are you getting less of in a typical vegan diet?
Vegan diet is basically you're not going to eat anything that comes from animal. So obviously no meat, no fish, but compared to the vegetarian diet, you don't even have eggs. And for example, you shouldn't even have honey because it comes from...
Coming from a bee. I didn't realize honey was in that category.
It's basically like the same thing of same stuff as milk and cheese, it's just different. But yeah, that's so obviously you're going to cut a lot of foods, a lot of food types. At the same time, you're going to have usually more polyunsaturated or monounsaturated fats. They're usually considered like good fats. For example, extra virgin olive oil. You're going to have less saturated fats that come from some cuts of meat. And that is good from a cardiovascular standpoint. You're not going to have butter. So you cannot actually bulletproof your coffee. I don't know if you're a fan of that. I'm Italian, so I stick to regular espresso. But I know in America, a lot of people like to bulletproof their coffees. Actually, you know what? Bulletproof is MCT. So it comes from coconut. So actually, no. Forget about it. No. It's okay to bulletproof the coffee. I thought it was just butter because on the anyway. So
there is one of those coffee diet things that's just butter. I thought it was bulletproof, but maybe it's.
I don't know.
I thought it was too.
I don't know. We should check it out because I never use it, and I don't remember if that's like vegetable oil, so it comes from coconut, or if it comes from cow, or sheep's. I don't know. Maybe you can check it out.
Yeah, we should look that up. I'm going to try to do two things at once here. But all right, so if you're getting less meat and more of some of those fats, obviously you're getting a lot. It's typically you're getting a lot less protein. How does that stack up in somebody who's an athlete or even somebody who's just pretty active, right? Is it less amino acids? It's less protein, but what does that mean, right?
Oh, you're already talking about amino acids.
See, look, I do my homework a little bit.
Oh man, okay. Yeah, exactly. So that is the thing. Like there are a lot of infographics. They say obviously they support the vegetarian or the vegan diet, and they say that the content in protein from beans is the same of like meat, which is absolutely not true from a biological standpoint, because exactly. So we have some amino. So basically, let's imagine a protein as a wall, which is made of bricks. So some bricks can be produced by our body. Okay, so those are the non-essential amino acids. And then we have some other bricks. They can be only introduced by the diet, through the diet. And those are the essential amino acids. So usually the vegan source of protein, they lack in at least one amino acid. The problem is when we go through the process of building muscle or to recovery, which is called muscle protein synthesis. If we don't have all those bricks, the muscle protein synthesis, it is stopped, okay, or it is slowed down. So there are a lot of ways to provide. There are several ways to provide for the right amount of essential amino acids in the vegan and also vegetarian diet. In the vegetarian diet, it's actually way easier because if you're done to eat a lot of eggs, especially egg whites, that type of protein is high quality. So you're going to have all the essential amino acids. But if you're vegan, you need to be careful, and mainly either you have to associate foods whose amino acid spectrum is complementary. So the chew, like let's say chew plus sources, they complement themselves to make like a complete spectrum. Or the easier way is you use a supplement. So you use essential amino acids as a supplement. So
are the supplements, is there any difference between getting those essential bricks, those essential amino acids from food or from supplements, or is it really all, at the end of the day, it's all the same thing?
I mean, it depends obviously like on the quality of the supplements. We know that supplements, they go through a process to be in commerce, to be put in commerce on the shelves of the supermarket, that is actually simplified. It's not the same, for example, that a medication has to go through. So the risk of having, let's say, lower quality supplements is a little bit higher. But at the same time, we have third-party testing companies. They can test for the quality of supplements, and like, for example, they guarantee that there's not going to be any contamination. It's not going to be a tainted supplement. And like to this day, for people that now maybe are vegan, are going to watch this podcast and they're wondering what kind of certification I should look for if I want to supplement with essential amino acid. The gold standard from the World Anti-Doping Agency, it is NSF to these days. So if you have a supplement that is NSF, it's very likely to be a good one. Okay. So that is just, we're talking just from like, we're compartmentalizing the thing. So we're talking about just amino acids. The good thing is if you get your essential aminos from food, you're also going to have other nutrients. It's very likely that you're going to have other nutrients. So for example, if you have I'm talking about an omnivorous diet, but if you have amino acids through steak, you're also likely to have a good amount of B12, which is a vitamin. It's a cofactor that's very important for a lot of biochemical reactions. So but there are like a lot of how do you say, association. They can give you the complete spectrum, and of amino acids. And when I was studying it the first time, I found it funny or interesting how some of those association are part of the Italian traditional culinary tradition. So, for example, you have beans and pasta. So I don't know if you remember the old Western movies. There were these cowboys who were cooking like sometimes like pasta. No, I don't think. Well, I mean,
like beans on the open range there.
But in Italy we have like this dish. It's called pasta e fagioli, and we had like it was like an Italian American Western movie where the guys were always doing this dish like pasta e fagioli. Which it seems to be like a complete meal in terms of amino acids, or rice and peas, for example. So that is another one it's from my area, actually, the Venice area in Italy. It's called risi e visi, which is it's rich in essential amino acids. And on the other hand, like for the vegetarian vegan athletes, they're getting like, let's say, a substitute of whey protein, because they will, I mean, especially the vegan will not use the whey protein because they come from milk, from cow milk. They want to make sure they have vegan protein supplement that comes from like different sources. So, for example, you don't want just pea protein; you want pea and rice protein, or like even multiple. They put ham. They put, there's a lot. So,
how much rice do you have to make in order to get a sufficient supply of protein from it?
Rice, I don't know. I should like calculate with the computer. I don't have it right now. But in terms of like, you want to have it is shown that you're gonna have a optimal muscle protein synthesis at around 3 grams of leucine per meal. So yeah, you want to make sure that whatever it is, like sometimes they break down the nutrients of the food. You get between rice and peas, you get to that 3 grams. Okay. That said, another aspect of the vegetarian diet is that it is richer in fibers. So fibers are good because a diet that is rich in different type of fibers, soluble, insoluble, is related to a better, it's called microbiome, which is the mix of all the bacteria that lives in our intestine. And let's say they pay rent by producing some molecule. They're called short chain fatty acids. They're proved by the research to prevent some type of cancer, like colon cancer. So usually the Western diet, it is poor in fibers. That is a plus of the vegetarian diet, usually higher. At the same time, when you're gonna have, especially when you have like multiple training sessions per day, and you want the absorption of nutrients to be as fast as possible, because you need to recover from the session and be ready for the following one. An excessive amount of fiber might slow down digestion, or might hold on to nutrients. So that might not be the optimal scenario, when we want to maximize performance. That said, if we want, like, sometimes we can, there are also other ways, like we can, do a cold pressed juice, for example, with vegetables or with fruit, and that can reduce the amount of fibers in your final mix, which is okay in certain scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, it feels okay if you're not getting that fiber elsewhere, but if you're losing that fiber and not getting that fiber from vegetables itself, I mean, that sounds like a detriment, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't wanna have, like these diets. They're like, I don't know, but I don't even know the name, but these diets, they are mainly, how do I say, based on juice. They're about like cleansing.
The Hollywood diet.
Oh, okay, yeah. Tell me more about it, because I'm just about the real science. So
The Hollywood diet was a diet that was popular years ago. Basically, it was like they were just drinking juices for like, it was either like 48 or 72 hours, but it was like the equivalent of like cutting weight. In my opinion, they just were like, losing some water weight to get skinny for a shoot
something.
or something, right?
Was that the one where they had the 5 bottles, Jay? Is that like you like drink like one each, like 2 or 3 hours or whatever it was, and you did that for a couple of days?
It wasn't that one, but it's basically the same thing. It was like an all juice diet for like 2-3 days. Yeah. The Hollywood diet.
I remember the green juice things, like a green juice craze a few years ago. That was the thing.
Used to sell expensive smoothies.
Yeah, exactly.
But that said, I don't like to. I mean, if you can put things in context, you don't have to, ostracize the vegetarian or the vegan diet. Indeed, Dr. Capo, that likes to cook, just got a few weeks ago the vegetarian silver spoon.
Wow.
Which is the vegetarian version of the silver spoon.
Oh, look at that.
Well, Doc, I have to say, I'm not as saddened by this as if you had gotten the vegan silver spoon.
The vegan silver spoon doesn't exist yet.
Will you be acquiring it when it does exist?
Yeah, I mean, well, why not? Like, it's part of my job to try. And I'm telling you, a lot of recipes in here are vegan. I mean, it's just some of them are vegetarian. So I guess, they just call it like the vegetarian silver spoon. But there are actually some recipes that are, let me find them. They're like actually very, very performance oriented. So I'm actually going to incorporate them in my protocols. Let me find it out.
Will you ever be incorporating any vegan protocols?
No, I'm talking about a vegan dish in an omnivorous meal. So,
what would you say to someone who wants to work with you, who wants to put forward the vegetarian or vegan, wants to be vegan forward, right? Maybe is not eats meat, but seldom eats meat. Can you work with someone like that? Is there a way for you to design a plan that's centered around something like that?
Absolutely. We'll ask them, do you have a family physician or someone that takes care of your health? Can you prescribe? Are you monitoring some levels of, some parameters? They can be altered by vegetarian or vegan diet. And if no, you should talk to your physician and start monitor them. And second, what type of results do you want? Are you okay with supplementing? And I'm just gonna be clear and say that some things are necessary. So, for example, if you're vegan and you are a high-level athlete, in my opinion, you need to supplement in order to get the best from your protocols. It's still doable.
And what is the reason behind that? What is there something severely lacking in that diet that they can only get by supplementing?
Yeah, I mean, there's B12 for sure, which is important, very important. But it's fine. You can get a B12 shot if you want to. I mean, the whole B complex, you can do it. There's vitamin D but for a Californian might not be a problem because, it can be synthesized at the level of the skin. So, especially if you're training outdoors, it's very likely that your vitamin D levels are pretty high. And that mainly, now I'm thinking about it somewhere else. But it's just talk to your physician and say, and try to see the big picture, use him to see the big picture.
What would you say to somebody who's just trying
creatine, I forgot creatine. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, for sure.
What would you say to somebody who's just trying to cut some pounds using a vegan diet? Is that something that, like a physician, do you think that's something like a physician would recommend, or is it something that you see a lot of? And I'm talking about think less about athletes and just regular folks.
Yeah, why also the vegetarian, or again, especially like the vegan diet, they work very well to lose weight, especially compared to the West. You always need to compare it to something, right? Because if you compare to starving, that's less effective, for example.
It's better than starving.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying if you're on a Western diet, you're gonna have. We were talking about that in the last episode, in the last time we talked together, and you're gonna have a lot of high caloric dense foods. So for something very little, little, for this much of food, you're gonna have a lot of calories. On the other end, through raw foods, especially because that's what is the vegan diet about, you're gonna have way less calories, and that is the key to weight loss.
Yeah, calories in versus calories out.
Yeah, but that said, let's say if you like to bake and you're there are a lot of vegan pastries. And let's say you're using tons of coconut oil, that you might spike the calorie content of your meals. I'm just saying, as overall, it's more likely that a Western diet is hypercaloric compared to a vegan one. So that's the key.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jay.
Question. You mentioned, so for a performance athlete that's on a vegan diet, you would inquire about them and their physician being involved in the diet and so forth.
Yes,
is that something you do for a non-vegan athlete, or what's the importance of a vegan athlete, needing to go through that and making sure that their physician is on board versus a non-vegan athlete?
Well, it's a little bit out of my scope of practice because I can just suggest to have a physician in your team. So I believe it is necessary on a vegan athlete because you're gonna lack on some nutrients for sure. Like B12 is gonna be something that is lacking. So you wanna assess how big is this void, If you have a balanced omnivorous diet, it's statistically less likely that you have some lacks, So that said, as a perfectionist, I always suggest my athletes to have a physician. In where I'm from in Italy, it's easier because we have universal healthcare, so it's super easy. And I don't know how it works here because I cannot actually donate blood in the US because I come from Europe and because of the mad cow, the prion, how do you call the prion infection that was in England. We are disqualified from donating blood. But in Italy, if you donate blood, you're going to have free blood work. done. So I always say, to all my athletes, like, guys, just start donating blood, and you're gonna have your blood work done for free. So that's, and it also help people in the community.
On that same note, so referring a vegan athlete to their physician, would you do that for someone who wasn't a performance athlete but was a vegan? So let's just say somebody that maybe works out a couple of times a week and they're vegan. Or do you think that it's equally important for them to consult their physician about their diet as someone that's not a performance athlete?
I mean, with the physician, you should not. Everyone should have access to his physician, and having checkups, because it's the best way to prevent any type of disease, any type of malnutrition. So yes, I'm a big fan of having access to the physician. So absolutely yes, and that's pretty much for everyone, especially for people that exclude some type of foods from their diet. So
good to get a workup on. I gotta let my wife know, who's been not vegan but vegetarian for a little while. Gotta let her know that we should get a little bit of a workup next time she goes into the doctor. I'd be interested to see what levels have raised and gone up and down based on just the diet.
Yeah, that is universal. Prevention is the best way to assess a problem. Like, you don't want to wait for to have symptoms. You wanna prevent. So absolutely, 100%. I believe a lot on prevention.
What about? I have one of my last things that I wrote down to talk to you was about meat substitutes. What are your thoughts on meat substitutes and where they are right now and how they get implemented, and what's the good, the bad, the ugly?
I mean,
which is the title of my favorite Italian spaghetti Western movie, by the way.
Okay. So let me think, like meat substitute. It depends. There's a lot. So you start from like the legumes, burgers, at least. Oh, because by the way, I didn't say, I've been vegetarian/vegan for 1 year of my life, senior year in farm school. So I tried that. So I kind of like, it was 10 years ago, but maybe like less, 7-8 years ago. But I kind of remember what I was getting as I was going to the grocery store. So the thing is, I mean, there are meat substitutes, but the macros are always like 90% of the time they're different. Because I remember there's something in Italy, it's called bresaola, which is kind of a super, super lean ham. And then there was the vegan version of bresaola, but that was way higher in carbohydrates. So, I mean, it's a substitute maybe in terms of taste, but in terms of macro, it is different. In terms of amino acids, it is different, So, I mean, you should learn to read the labels, as you buy. And sometimes, even as I was telling you, because they need to specify just the protein content of a product. You should also know that source of vegetarian or like vegan protein, what is the overall composition in amino acids. There are like there are a lot of variables. Like, for example, one is called PDCAAS. I think that's how you say in American. Which keeps into account a lot of different variables, and it's way more precise than just a number for grams of protein per 100 grams of food, So you should know what you're buying. On the other hand, if you're vegetarian, I mean, it depends. Like, if you're vegetarian, if you're having, as I was telling you, like egg whites, that is great. There's also, I don't know if you guys ever tried it, but if you don't want to have whey protein, for example, as a vegetarian, you could have egg protein. But I don't know if you ever tried it. The taste is pretty.
No, it's mostly been I'm sure the whey stuff you can add to milk or water, and it's chocolate or vanilla. I don't know what the egg protein would.
Egg protein, I don't know. And I tried it once, and that was my first and last time.
So that's vegetarians can do egg protein, but not vegans, right?
Exactly. The vegan will not be able to do egg protein. By the way, the biological value, biological scores for egg protein is pretty high, So that can be a meat substitute for sure. You just get pretty bored by eating egg whites,
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine. So like, that's good to know for folks who are either shopping or doing some cooking, as far as like, am I going to buy a Beyond Meat burger, or am I going to buy a black bean burger, for instance, right? Some of those people got to really read the labels and figure out what they're missing and what they're getting, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You should know that it is, I found, because actually I have clients there, like I have athletes that are vegan. It is a little bit harder to periodize macronutrients composition of the meals in a vegan diet, because there's like carbohydrates are omnipresent. They're like everywhere. So as soon as you try to add protein, you will have also carbs. It's very hard. I mean, it's way harder to go, let's say, very low carb. So for example, to do the same thing, like to do the alternative of find an alternative for salmon and asparagus with olive oil, that's, very low carbohydrates. It's very hard on a vegan diet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because you might match the protein, fine. You might match the fat and the fibers, yes, but then you're going to have higher carbs.
Yeah, and even if you're not a performance athlete, even if you're somebody who's just working out, you do something like that, those carbohydrates are what motivate you and give you the energy to go on that 5-mile or 10-mile run, or get that hour and a half lift in.
I mean, so for carbohydrates, we are absolutely covered on a vegan diet. It's just the periodization. So what we call, there's a concept that we call it like sleep low. So for example, if you're not going to have like an extremely demanding practice at night, and the next morning you're not going to have another extremely demanding practice, you can decide and sleep on a, let's say, on a low level, on a low meals containing low carbs. With the vegan source of food, that is a little bit harder. If you want to have enough protein, it's a little bit harder. That said, talking about my experience as a former vegetarian / vegan, I was very strict on my diet athlete. I need to say I trained pretty well during that year. It's the year that I started to do jiu-jitsu, 2012. But I found extremely demanding in terms of time, the cooking process of the food. So I was having a lot of legumes, and they take way more than like a fillet to be made. And I'll be honest, like, it's my preference, so it's not questionable. As a lover of cooking, of Italian cuisine, I found pretty hard to stay away from meat and fish. So
I'm just on a nationally syndicated podcast here, gentlemen.
I can understand that, because as somebody who's I can't imagine the transition. I've eaten more meat and less meat in the last year, and it's sort of roller coastered through. And I can't really tell the difference, but I certainly would feel like I'd miss it a lot if I just turned the fountain off completely.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Jay. You're a guy who can't really go without it at all, right?
French fries are vegan, right?
I mean, they are for sure. Absolutely. That's an example. Those are vegan. They're not healthy. On the other end, I can tell you, I would like to discuss one thing, because there are a lot of studies, like there are a lot of arguments regarding protein, like higher protein diets, and overall mortality. Okay. Which ended up with at least in Italy, they peaked with the publication of this book that is called the China Study. I don't know if you ever heard about it. Well, it's pretty famous in Italy, the China Study. Anyway, so it is important to put things in context. So they were saying that diets with higher protein, they found out through scientific studies that diets with higher protein, they were related to higher mortality. If you go into the study, they were quoting, all the references on the book. You realize that those diets, they were not just high in protein. They were high in carbohydrates, they were high in protein, and they were high in fats. And they were very high in saturated fats. So basically, these people were just eating junk food, or, they were eating more like a Western diet. So if you're telling me that a hypercaloric and also hyper everything diet, so it's hyper not just in calories, but also in, let's say, the bad fats and also in protein is bad, I mean, yes, but
of course, those people are going to die sooner, right?
Exactly. If you're talking about the obese, because in the end, these people ended up with, obesity, or their high grade of overweight. So if you're telling me that being overweight, being obese is related to higher mortality, higher cancer rates, thank you for telling me what I already knew. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Thanks for the info.
Exactly. And then what I'm telling you is, yes, for sure, it takes a little bit of effort. But especially if you know how to, we need to know how to discriminate, the sources of, the different type of meats. Because when we're talking about meat, what are we talking about? Are we talking about I don't know, because Jason went to Italy and he probably had the Fiorentina, which is, how would you describe the Fiorentina, Jay?
I had two. They were steaks about the size of my laptop and about 6 inches thick.
Yeah. And
they were delicious.
Yes, exactly. But those animals, they have an upbringing that is different from intensive. How do you say intensive farming? How do you call it? Intensive farming.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The kind of farming that mass produces that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to learn. We need to invest. I believe I like to invest my money in local sustainable production of meat, and then I have a product that is higher quality. Other thing they say, meat. They're we don't want to go too much into it, because then it becomes really a biochemistry class, and we don't want that. But yeah, if you burn meat, it creates a molecule that is called benzopyrene. That is, it can get you mutation that can lead to cancer. Okay, That's if you burn meat. There are a lot of ways of cooking meat that don't involve like burning. So it's not that you have to barbecue your meat every day.
I was going to say, this is actually if you burn it and it makes a molecule.
Yes, exactly. But as Jason,
that'll teach you to order a steak well done, then, Jay.
Never the steak, but I do like my hot dogs. A little.
Yeah, I got to say, I like them too.
So yeah, but for example, there are a lot of dishes from the Italian tradition. For example, Jason, that is a connoisseur of Italian cuisine, osbus.
Sure.
Jay?
I actually just had osbus yesterday.
Oh, really?
At a Italian restaurant here in CDM. A real Italian. Yeah. If they have osbus, they're real. But I just had some yesterday.
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh, Jay, please go ahead.
Osbus is veal cooked. They cook it a particular type of way. It is a signature Milan dish, right? Capo?
Bone marrow.
Only in Milan. But it's like bone marrow and veal, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
It is. It's delicious.
It's making my mouth water talking about it.
So if you know how to choose your meat, you're already like making a big step forwards, when it comes to the quality of your food. You don't have to burn it. At the same time, I can tell you that if you don't store properly cereals, they don't have the proper level of humidity and stuff like that. The cereals are gonna be tainted with another type of molecules, they're called aflatoxins, and as well they bind DNA, and they can potentially lead to cancer.
And we're talking cereal like Frosted Flakes kind of thing. That's what we're talking about.
You're talking about the raw, when they get, how do you call the silos?
The grain silos, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. When they get stored there, if the process is not regulated, they can also, be potentially, they can potentially hurt you, So it's all about, I'm a big advocate of quality of food. Like, you want your cereal coming from like good sources, and you want, if you're like omnivorous, you want your meat to come from, some good sources. For example, I was finding this on the Silver Spoon. Is amazing. I hope we're not going to break any copyright. I'm just sponsoring this. If you want to buy, guys, the Silver Spoon by Faden, the classic. But this, like, for example, doesn't require any burn meat. Look how beautiful.
What do we got there? What's the dish?
The dish is, in Italy, spezzatino, which is great. We have 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of butter, half of onion, 1 celery stalk, 1 carrot, 1 pound, 5 ounces of lean stewing steak, 5 tablespoons of dry white wine, 2 tomatoes, and salt and ground pepper. So you cook it.
Matt can have some, but the wife can't have it.
Yeah, she can't have any. Somebody dropped off beef stew for us. It was all mine, baby. I had it for lunch. It was good.
And this is, for example, a low carb dish. So for the night where you want to, like, I don't know, you want to, you want to create that little like stress that leads to adaptation. So maybe you do your steady state cardio. So you don't need maybe to replenish all that glycogen. You could have this meal. If your wife has the same thing, but with like a vegetarian or vegan option, let's say.
Maybe it has beans in it or something.
Yeah, you need to look also for carbohydrates, because that might impair our protocol of sleeping low carbs. Make sense?
I see. Yep. That makes a lot of sense. I think that's, my guess is that's something that people who are doing this aren't really that cognizant of, that they're lacking some of those. And carbohydrate is such a bad word when you're talking about dieting, you're talking about things like that. It's for normal people anyway. But my guess is that a lot of people are not really experienced with that.
Yeah, the key is rationality and moderation. So, if you can put everything in the big picture, then you're going to be good. Look, this is Milanese ossobuco. Quite fun.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ossobuco sounds... That's a Christmas time one. I know that one.
No, that's absolutely all these, even the stew meat. I mean, for our blessed Californians, that even in the winter we barely wear a sweater. That might not be an option. But someone like you live in Jersey, right?
Yeah.
So you have a lot of gray sky, humidity. Are you already below zero?
It's been raining for about 5 days straight here right now, and it's like 45 and rainy, so it's pretty much as bad as it gets right now.
I'm sorry, for me 45 is a desert temperature. We use Celsius here.
Oh, okay. So it's what is the Celsius calculation? Like 16 or something.
16? That's not bad. It's not that bad. I thought it was gonna be way colder, honestly. But yeah,
rain is a no-go. Five days of rain, we have to move here. If it rains for 5 days straight here, we're out.
You're moving. I don't blame you. It's been ugly. Doc, Jason, did we not cover anything? Doc, is there anything that we didn't cover that you think people should know? Generally, anything related to being a vegan or how to eat?
I mean, the thing is, put everything into context. Is doable, but requires a lot of attention, in my opinion, if you want to do it properly. If you're quoting a research, just don't read just the abstract. Read everything, and also understand the impact factor of the publication and the paper, the journal actually, and how many references has, and how legit it is, because everyone nowadays, it's very easy to publish a paper. It's not that easy to publish a good one, and that's pretty much it. And it's coming really. And, they say practice what you preach. I'm happy that for 1 year I've been vegetarian and very strict, very close to vegan, because I know what I'm talking about. So, and, for me, it was sustainable. I was already had a pretty good scientific background. On the other hand, I need to say I gave up because of my...
You like to cook. I mean, you like to cook. Did you find your energy levels had flagged at all? I mean, I know you obviously, having the scientific background, could supplement and take in some of the carbohydrates that you were probably not getting. But even when that was happening, did you wake up some days and go, man, I just feel I feel like hell today. I got no energy, anything like that?
No, honestly, no, it never happened. But also as well, that needs to be put into context, because let's say you are in a vegan diet and it's extremely balanced, that's not enough. You want to make sure you have a legit training protocol, that you have a legit recovery routine, as well as a omnivorous diet, because some people you might do your diet perfect, but then you don't sleep, and here you are, that you don't lose any more weight,
Mm-hmm.
So it's so I probably, when I was 23, 24, I was paying less attention to rest, But at that age, you feel like invincible.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. So I know how against the fad diets you are.
Yeah.
But if you had to choose one that was closest to being a well-balanced and healthy diet, what would you choose between vegan, vegetarian, keto, or what's the Joe Rogan all meat diet? What's that one called?
The carnivore.
The carnivore diet. Like, if you had to choose between one of these fad diets, like, which one would you say is closest to being a healthy diet?
Ooh, and also it's for me sustainable. Like sustainable for me, Matteo Capodaglio, as a person, knowing myself.
Yes.
If I have to pick one of these, like, first of all, is Mediterranean diet in the equation?
No, because it's not because to me, that's a real, like, that is a real, I wouldn't even call it a diet. Like, that's a real healthy.
If you live in the Mediterranean, that's your diet.
Yeah, I mean, because that's how I like.
That's the full spectrum there, right? So,
if I have to pick one, that's because it can resemble the Mediterranean diet. I'll be honest. I'll go paleo. Because I will have my protein not through bread, not through pasta, but through tubers. So sweet potatoes, and they're like allowed in the paleo diet. So people say that paleo is keto, but that's not true. You can also go high carb with a paleo if you want to. Like, I don't know, because I didn't read the book. So I don't know if actually they limit the assumption of potatoes, but if they don't, that's the diet I will choose. It's pretty boring that you have, every time you finish a good workout, you need to have potatoes. Sometimes, like, you want to have rice. Sometimes you want to have pasta. But yeah, it's still, like, it's pretty boring, but that's sustainable, in my opinion. And brings all the nutrients, because you have also plenty of vegetables and plenty. You can have like a decent amount of fruit, which is good. And also you have you have good quality protein. Yeah.
That's probably what I'd pick too.
But
unless I lived in Greece and I could do the Mediterranean diet.
Yeah. There's actually a doctor that I believe now lives in, where does she live? In San Diego? I don't know. But she's really into protein quality. And her name is Gabrielle. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly. It was Lion or Lion?
Yeah.
Lyon.
Yeah. We were talking about her on the last podcast with Cara.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, she's really into she'll probably, like, if you look at her Instagram, she really goes into this concept that I said about the quality of a protein, So, and she's, she's really an advocate of protein quality. So if you want to know more about, like, that specific topic, absolutely follow her. There's another, like, great researcher that he studies protein, and he's Dr. Stu Phillips, which is great, one of the goats of research. And absolutely, like, those are the two that come to my mind. And yeah, how do you like, it's hard, for me it was hard. I was thinking about green pepper fillet, and it's hard for me. I'll be honest, I might have my weaknesses. It's hard. Like, once a week, I like to have my green pepper fillet.
I'm with you. I could never. No meat substitute, turkey burger, Impossible Burger, and give me the real thing always.
I gotta say, I have had the Impossible Burger, and we made some, like, what was it? It was like fajita soup, but instead of hamburger, it had the Impossible meat burger in it, and it wasn't bad. the hamburgers, they taste like the hamburgers you would get in elementary school, right? It like brings back these, like floods back these memories of being a fat 9-year-old and eating these hamburgers at school. But that's what it smells like and tastes like. It's not bad. And I'm not somebody who's substituting turkey all the time, but I make turkey meatballs. I make regular meatballs. We do some of the meat substitute sometimes, and sometimes I just want a giant fillet.
See, the turkey meatball is the substitute for me. That's already a substitute, man. I'm having some real beef meatballs, and if I'm feeling healthy, then I'll go with the turkey substitute.
No, come on, guys. There's a lot of good meat actually here in like the city of LA. I'm having a harder time finding like some type of meats that I love. But for example, I love duck. Have you ever ate duck?
I love duck. It's amazing.
I have. I probably haven't had a good meal with duck. I always thought it was too greasy, but it was probably where I was getting it and how it was made.
Yeah, you can make ragu. Also, I like, how do you call it? Boar?
Boar, yeah. Boar.
Yeah, that is amazing.
I had some amazing boar in Florence, actually, with some pappardelle.
Pappardelle.
Yeah.
Ragu di cinghiale.
Delicious.
Yeah. But let me tell you, because I'm happy that you invite me. But I also like to quote or to talk about some of my elite colleagues. So, for example,
yes.
let me give you an example. Do you know Dr. Galpin?
Yeah.
So
Dr. Kara was talking about Dr. Galpin too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So I believe he goes like once per year or something like that. He goes somewhere I don't know where, but in the middle of the United States, and he goes hunting. And then he has that's what I'm saying. When you know how to select the source of your food, then, you don't have to deal with the antibiotic thing, with the hormone thing, you just get good quality food.
There's a big movement out there right now about that. I know Joe Rogan and his ilk are big hunters like that. Elk, and they hunt a lot of deer. I have family that packages up meat and sends it over to me after they've been on like an elk hunt in Canada. And again, I'm the only one that eats it, but
yeah, I was going to ask, how does your wife feel about that?
Yeah, that doesn't go over all that well, especially when it's like been sitting in their freezer for a year or two, and then they just kind of load it off on me. But
there you go.
A lot of that's big right now, is that very sustainable, like, I killed my food, I'm going to butcher it myself and process it and eat it.
Yeah, for sure. I also have one of my UFC athletes, Uroš Medic. He just won the Dana White Contender Series. He's Serbian, but he started his career in Alaska, and he was telling me how easy it is in Alaska to find quality meat and fish, especially. He loves salmon, but also halibut. So yeah, that is great. I really would have loved to go to Alaska or like go on the road in the States, because I never did before. But, because of the pandemic, I had to postpone.
We'll have to take we'll have to take you on a road trip around the States.
Yeah, for sure.
Come to New Jersey and pick me up. We can go back out that way. I'll drive back with you.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Like from Jersey, we can go where, to New England?
Yeah, you can get some good seafood. You can get some crab
some clam chowder and some lobster.
Yeah.
Okay.
You probably got to put on a raincoat though. I can't guarantee you that it's going to be 78 and sunny every day.
Definitely will not be.
You're right.
This has been awesome, guys. I'm sure they're going to edit the end this thing a while ago, but I appreciate the time, Dr. Capo.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem. No problem.